Okay, hon. Okay, that's the official link for reviewing the class. The official link has just been posted. All right. Well, pleasant good evening, class of Steel. Today is Wednesday, the 22nd of July, 2020, and we have in our midst this evening a special guest speaker in the person of His Excellency Dr. Ian S. Lavine, and he will be sharing with us this evening. I don't want to take up any of his time at all. So I'm just going to officially greet every member of the class and officially introduce you to Dr. Levine. Dr. Levine, you would see in the person of Victoria Okadere. And Pastor Victoria, she is the Chief Operations Officer for the class of Steel. You, Pastor Victoria, could you kindly wave your hand, please? Thank you so very much. We also have in the person of Barrister Anthony Uwechia. Barrister, he is our financial director and also our legal advisor for the class of Steel. Barrister, kindly wave your hand that he will see you, please. Thank you so very much. We also have in the person of Dr. Dandam. And Dr. Dandam, as I have discussed with you, Dr. Levine, that I would be choosing a vice president. Dr. Dandam is my official vice president. She is also the membership coordinator for the class of Steel. So, Dr. Dandam. And this class of Steel would not be possible without the person of His Excellency Reverend Bright Otso. Reverend Bright Otso, could you kindly wave your hand, please? Reverend Bright Otso has also um, been instrumental in establishing the membership of the class of Steel, and he remains with us continually, consistently, and we are very grateful for his contribution into the lives of the individuals here in Plateau State, but in Nigeria as a whole. Added to that, Your Excellency, amongst us are a number of ambassadors and a number of pastors and other leaders seated in your presence. So you are being thrown off the deep end with an audience who are not lay persons. So, with that being said, Your Excellency, I want to hand over the remainder of this evening to you. The time is now 6 minutes after 10, and I just want you to have a wonderful time in presenting to the class of Steel. Your Excellency, Dr. Ian Levine, please take over, please.
Good evening to Your Excellency, Dr. Michael Steele. I treat this as a great honor, privilege to be here with you and your distinguished class of Steel. Before I start, I just want to make sure that you can all hear me well, Dr. Steele. You can hear me well, you can see me well. Excellent. So as I said, it's really an honor to be here. I've heard so much about your class of Steel. I've popped in and popped out a couple of times, and I must say that I am extremely impressed with what you're doing with your team right here. Before I start, it's so amazing that Dr. Steele, you recall over 3 years I tried to reach you via Facebook over 3 years ago, and for some unknown reason, I tried and tried and tried, and I never received a response until one day, 3 years after, you decided to respond, and you said to me, what do you want, and how may I help you? And little did I know that within that period of time, after reconnecting with you, that God would have opened this door, not just this door, but other doors which we would speak about at a later date. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to be here with you. And today we're going to be speaking briefly. I've been told I've been given 45 minutes, and I'll do my best to stick to 45 minutes. My mentor, Dr. Steele, always say if they give you 7 minutes, you use 6 minutes. So I've been given 45 minutes and I use 44 minutes. So today we want to speak briefly on group dynamics. We want to speak briefly on group dynamics. You may ask yourself the question, what is group dynamics? I give you 3 explanations or 3 basic definitions of what group dynamics would be. Number 1, group dynamics describe the way in which people in a group interact with one another. Let me say that again. Group dynamics, number 1, it describes the way in which people in a group interact with one another. Number 2, a system of behaviors and psychological processes occurring within a social group. Let me say that again for clarity. Number 2, a system of behaviors and psychological processes occurring within a social group. And the third one, the study of forces within a group. Group dynamics describes the way in which people in a group interact with one another. A system of behaviors and psychological processes occurring within a social group are the study of forces within a group. And why is group dynamics important? We've often heard the saying or the phrase, no man is an island and no man stands alone. I can't do it on my own. That's why I need Dr. Steele. Dr. Steele can't do it on his own. That's why he is in need of me. You can't do it on your own. That's why you need Dr. Steele. Dr. Steele can't do it on his own. That is why he is in great need of you. We find that group dynamics is forever present. There is group dynamics right where we are. Although we are on Zoom right now, I can let you know and reassure that there is group dynamics going on right now. Although we are just visual, although we are on Zoom, although we are not in a physical location, sitting in a physical classroom setting, there is a level of group dynamics being exhibited right now. So there's group dynamics at work. We all know that. That is where most of the group dynamics is showcased. So there are group dynamics at work. Without a shadow of a doubt, there's also group dynamics in our home environment. There's group dynamics in our places of worship. There is group dynamics within teams, within groups. Wherever people are gathered, there is a level of group dynamics. When dynamics are positive, when your group dynamics are positive, the group works well together. When dynamics are positive within a group, that group will work well together. However, when dynamics are poor, the group's effectiveness is reduced. And we've all seen that within our various workplaces. We've all seen that within our space at work. We've also seen that within whatever environment we are where there are people. there's a positive attitude, there's a positive dynamics, the good dynamics are going to be more healthy and more conducive. And where you see that the dynamics are poor or weak, the level of good dynamics will become minimized and not as effective as we will hold those good dynamics to be. Some factors that I want to share with you today relative to good dynamics. And I've titled these factors competing factors in group dynamics. What are some of the competing factors in group dynamics? And I just give you a couple of seconds just to reflect on that. What are the factors? What are the things that can cause a group dynamic to be positive? And what are some of the things that can also cause group dynamics to be negative? Alpha male. There are probably some alpha males right here listening to me. There's probably some alpha males in your workplace. Within your church, there are probably some alpha males. So when there's an alpha male, the group dynamics naturally will change. These are some of the factors that can affect group dynamics. So the alpha male, the type E woman, the type E woman. So the type E woman is basically the balancing or the equal to the alpha male. You know, the alpha male is that go together, the person who when they show up, that male, when they show up, everything stops. That person wants to be in charge of everything and everyone. It's the same thing with the type E woman. She wants to be everything to everyone, and she wants to work hard. She wants to be the lady of ladies in the workplace or whatever environment she is in. So you have the alpha male, you have the type E woman, and also critically, these are very important. Person academic qualifications and their credentials and qualifications, these all play a vital role in the whole aspect of group dynamics. As someone saying that he or she is more qualified than their co-worker or even their manager, that can create some serious group dynamic issues. Robert Greene in one of his books, he said when he studied from many years ago in history, he said, one thing you should never do is try to outshine your master. Never try to outshine your master. But we see that it seems to be a natural inclination that when we are more educated, more informed, more well-versed, that we can tend to, if we don't control our thoughts, our feelings, or emotions, that we can sometimes think that we are better than the person next to us, or even better than our commanders or our managers or our supervisors. Another thing that can affect our group dynamic is physical stature, someone's height, someone's physique, you know, someone's clothing, how you dress, your personality, the tone of your voice. Is your voice deep? Is your voice high? All these dynamics are critical within the whole aspect of what group dynamics really is. Your family lineage. You know, if you come from a well-off family, you go into a workplace, there is an expectation that you will be treated better or differently from someone whose family is not known. And we see these dynamics working in and working out on a daily basis. Our connections, you know, if you're connected with someone, if you're connected with Dr. Steele, you know, some person will say, you know what, he or she's connected with Dr. Steele, so therefore I have to give them preferential treatment. And lastly, right here is your rank or your position in your workplace. So in the military, you know, you have rank, there's a rank structure. So naturally, you're going to have that good dynamics right there. In the organizational space, you're going to have the CEO or the vice president or the president. you have managers and supervisors, and these are critical issues when we see group dynamics playing out. The reality is, from the top to the bottom, is that there will always be someone in your company who will want to be in charge. And even if you are the manager, and even if you are the leader, there will always be someone within your team that will think that he or she can do a better job than you can do, or he and she can do a job which you can't do as good as them. So you have to be very careful with how we let our managers and our supervisors in relation to who we are, because issues will naturally come into our work environment. Issues will naturally come into even within our families. And as we speak about families, we see some serious issues or concerns in families, and you can probably sense where I'm coming, where you have the male-female dominance. And I've seen this, and lots of studies will help us to understand this better, that if you have a female who is more educated than her husband, you see the good dynamics, the level of good dynamics is going to change. The male in the relationship may no longer feel that he is that leader in his environment, in his house. And sometimes it doesn't happen consciously, sometimes it just happens at a subconscious level. I remember a few years ago, one of my colleagues in another jurisdiction that I worked in, he rose through the ranks of the organization, which he is actually still in. He rose through the ranks really, really quickly. And based on what I know, that he had a wonderful household. Everything was going really well. Everything was going in a perfect way, no issues at all. But as he started to elevate, to be promoted in his organization, and as he also started to improve himself at an academic level, we saw some subtle issues started to creep into his relationship. And let me explain this. Because before that, his wife was the one who had her master's degree. His wife was the person who had a bit more influence in the community. His wife was probably the face of the household. But then, and everything was good. But when he started now to, on his own initiative, when he started to improve himself academically, when he started to improve himself by virtue of working hard and being promoted on his workplace, then you saw those group dynamics becoming real in his household. And he never understood what was happening. And he had a conversation with me, and I pondered on our conversation for a couple of days, and I reached back out to him and I said, you know what, I think this is what is happening. We have some good dynamic issues here within your household. You see, you were okay before, but now that you are being elevated and improving yourself, it seems that your wife is feeling a bit uncomfortable there, because for many years she was the one where all the attention was on her, but now you are in the paper, you are in the media, your name is becoming great. So stuff like that can actually become a problem in your household and also in your workplace. And for me personally, and Dr. Steele can also attest to this, we myself and also Dr. Steele, we've done lots of studies for many years. And when I actually got my doctorate degree, I say, you know what? Okay, I'm qualified now. I'm improving myself, so I'm going to start to add the different designations to my email signature at work. And once again I pondered on that, and I say, you know what? I just leave my email signature as it is, Ian S. Lavine, and my organizational rank or my organizational title. Because I just sat back and reflected and I say, you know what? If you do that, there's a possibility that those who don't have that level of qualification, that it can create unnecessary conflict in the workplace, especially with your supervisors who are naturally, they are more they're of a higher rank than you. And today you're just Ian Lavine, and tomorrow you're Dr. Ian Lavine. You know, and person wouldn't understand that. They would not understand that you were studying for the last 20 years. And for me personally, I've been studying for almost 20 years, and that took me straight up to my doctoral degree. So that I think that's also a nugget for you. And you can decipher within yourself whether you want to showcase your academic credentials or whether you don't want to showcase. But I find sometimes in the workplace when people only know you for who you are at that particular point in time, that when you start to elevate yourself and you start to showcase yourself as being elevated and being quote unquote more qualified, and you're now having a greater level of expertise, that can be, create some level of conflict in your workplace. Person's going to naturally become uncomfortable. And I decided, you know what? I'm just going to leave my email signature as Ian S. Lavine, my work title there. And I go work every day, and you know, and Dr. Steele always says this to me also. He said, let your work speak for you, let your values speak for you. Not your credentials, but let the quality of your work, let your ethical practices speak for you. Dr. Steele, you are here. Anything from you, sir?
Doc- your Excellency, I'm sitting in class enjoying the fact that I have someone who is teaching. So there is absolutely nothing from me. You are in the pulpit, and this is your time, and I am not going to allow you to interrupt me again from relaxing. Please carry on with your class, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. So we're speaking about good dynamics. We spoke about what good dynamics. I gave you 3 levels of definition for good dynamics. We also spoke on some of the competing factors in good dynamics. We spoke about the alpha male. I probably think wherever we have people, we will always have an alpha male. So there is an alpha male somewhere out there right now. We also have the type E woman. Wherever we have a group of women, I can assure you there will always be a type E woman. There is a type E woman somewhere out there. Your educational qualifications, your credentials, your physical stature, how tall you are, how not tall you are, how muscular you are, how not muscular you are, your clothing, the way you dress, the shoes you wear, your personality. And let me say that some person might think that that is so minuscule, it's so simple, but let me assure you that when you walk into your workplace, whether you are a male or female, whether you're a man or woman, persons are watching you, persons are scrutinizing the shoes you're wearing, the tie you're wearing, the type of bag you're wearing, to see if your bag has a famous label on that bag or if your bag is just a plain bag without any label. People are literally scrutinizing you from head to toe and depend on their perception of you based on how you look and how you walk and how you stand and how you sit, and the tone of your voice will determine for them how they are going to treat you. Will determine for them that even if you are their manager, they're going to say, you know what, he doesn't look like a manager. Therefore, I have decided within myself that I will not give them the respect and the honor and courtesy due to them. Your family connection, your family background, and finally your right structure or your managerial structure within your organization. Those are all competing factors in good dynamics. As we press forward, there's something that I want to share with you, which is known as self-talk. You know, like your self-talk. And self-talk is also critical within the realm of good dynamics. You may ask yourself, what is self-talk? Well, this is what self-talk is. From my profile, you will have seen and you will have heard that I am a certified self-talk trainer. So I love to share on the concept of self-talk. And I believe that this is going to help you today and going forward every single day of your life. So what is self-talk? Self-talk is basically the process by which you replace all negative programs in your brain with new healthy programs in your mind and your brain. Let me say that again. Maybe not the same way, but the same concept. Self-talk is the way in which you replace all negative, non-productive programs and habits with new life-forming programs, and habits. Listen to this carefully now. For each and every one of you, from the moment you were born, I want you to reflect on this statement. You wouldn't remember from the moment you were born. You wouldn't remember that. But think about the year you were born. From the moment you were born, everything you heard, everything you said, everything you experienced was programmed in your mind. Remember, we're speaking about group dynamics, and I'm going to show you how this all ties in with group dynamics. So from the very moment you were born, everything you heard, everything you saw, everything you did, everything you experienced was programmed in your mind. Think about that for a couple seconds. The more frequent and the strongest messages that you receive actually became wired in your brain. So we started with these programs being activated in your mind. And the more they became frequent to you and the stronger those messages became, they actually became wired in your brain. And where did you get those messages from? And all of this which I'm sharing is there's lots of psychological and sociological research on all that we're sharing right here relative to self-talk, relative to how your brain has been wired, relative to how your mind has been programmed. So where did we get these messages from? Any and everything, every and everywhere, but primarily from those in authority. We listen most to those in authority. That's why you can listen with great zeal and zest to Dr. Steele. And that is how our programming, we got our programming by person in authority, from our parents, our grandparents, our teachers, our pastors, and those in authority. So who we are right now at this exact stage in our life is as a result of those programmings that we got from those levels of persons, from our parents, our grandparents, our teachers, and our pastors. Psychology actually tells us that we have more of our genetic makeup from our grandparents than from our parents. I'm not sure how vast that research have gone, but based on my research also in psychology and behavioral psychology, I've studied and I've researched that lots of our genetic makeup comes from our grandparents. That is why sometimes you can look at someone once you know their family line, and you can say, you know what, that person look like their grandmom or grandfather. My mom actually said that I look like my grandfather from her side. You know, same height, same stature, same smile, same good looks. So your genetic makeup, your whole process of how you are socialized will naturally play an important part in the way that you view and the way you embrace group dynamics. So if you grew up in a household where you were told that you were no good, and actually we have been told that by the time a person would have reached the age of 18, and let's say that that person grew up in a reasonably stable, good, comfortable, healthy environment, a loving family, that person, whether be male or female, will have heard at least 148,000 no's. So you grew up in a reasonably stable household, a good family, But by the time you would have reached the age of 18, you would have heard at least 148,000 no's. You would have heard over 148,000 times what you can't do, who you can't become, who you can't be. So naturally, if you grow up in such an environment, let's say that you grow up and here you will never be a leader, and you go into your workplace, that level of good dynamics will showcase itself, will be exhibited, because you're going to go into your work environment, and no matter how much leadership training you go to, no matter how many credentials that you receive in leadership, no matter how many PhDs you have in leadership, because of the way you were programmed and socialized, because of those programs that were centered in your mind, and because the way your brain got wired, you will never become that leader who God has ordained you to be. Because every time you are placed in that leadership position, you know what your brain and your mind is going to be saying? It's going to be saying, remember when your mom told you you were no good? Remember when your teacher told you you can't lead? Remember when you had 2-3 jobs within the last 5 years, and every leadership position you had, you failed? And it's nothing that you brought upon yourselves, but it's simply because of those messages are not coming back up. That everything you do, those programs and those memories gonna assist you subconsciously that you're no good and you can't make it and you can't do this and you can't do that. So every time you go into a group, and even if you are in a situation where they say, you know what, I want you to lead, those messages are going to come back, and you will never rise beyond that level where you are. So your entire process of socialization will definitely play a part within your life when it comes to the whole aspect of group dynamics. So remember, from the moment you were born, everything you heard, said, everything you experienced was programmed in your mind. And the more you heard those messages, and the stronger those messages became, those messages were actually wired in your brain. By the time you would have reached the age of 18, you would have heard 148,000 no's. No's, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. And everything non-productive over your life. So if that is for a person who would have grown up in a reasonably stable home, can we imagine what that means for a person who grew up in a dysfunctional household? So therefore, it's important that we can't judge persons with the same measuring stick. There are lots of persons in our space. There are lots of persons in our family. There are lots of persons within our work environments. There are lots of persons even in our places of worship where we shout hallelujah, thank you, Jesus, praise the Lord, Sunday to Sunday, for Wednesday night Bible study, for Friday youth group, for Thursday women's ministry, or for on Tuesday for men's ministry, who are walking with lots of issues. So when they come into our space and environment, it's not that they have a demon. And I'm not saying that I'm against people being demon possessed. We've seen in the Bible where persons are demon possessed and God casts out demons. But I'm not saying that every dysfunctional quote unquote person, or every person in our realm or sphere of influence who say that person is not acting the way that we are acting, or behaving the way that we expect them to behave, that person has a demon or a spiritual issue. It simply can probably mean that this person is just acting out the way they were cultured, the way they were socialized, the way they were programmed from the moment they were born. So that's just a little bit on self-talk. And the last point that I wish to share with you today as we continue with group dynamics is personality, your personality. I was able to speak on the aspect of self-taught because I'm a certified self-taught trainer. And now I'll speak a bit about personality, because I'm also a certified behavioral consultant, I've been trained to use the DISC, which is DISC, the DISC personality profile system. And this is what DISC stands for. D stands for driver or dominant. D stands for driver or dominant. The I stands for influence or influencing. The S stands for steady or stable. Steady or stable. And the C stands for compliant or conscientious. The DISC personality profile system. And it's so interesting to note that the DISC will also play an important part in your whole aspect of group dynamics, whether it be home, work, church, or within your family. So the D personality, and once again, wherever we are, we will have a mixture of persons. Right here in the class of Steele, there will have some of you who your dominant personality is D, which is that you are a driver, you're a person who have that type of dominant personality. It means that you are a go-getter, that you are a problem solver. And I'm not saying that we are all go-getters and we are all problem solvers, but it just speaks to the level of zeal and zest that you have, that you place on activities and in your life as a whole. So within us right now, there are persons that you are the driver. You know, you're the type of person that you say, you know what do I want happen today? And you just don't say what we want happen today. You say what is going to happen 50 years from now. The I type of personality is that person who is charismatic. You have that level of influence. You are in essence the peacock. If you were to add a bird scenario to that, you will be like the peacock. You are the person, you are the life of the party. And once again, the life of the party has lots to do with the whole aspect of group dynamics. Because in your workplace and in your sphere of influence at home, at work, at church, wherever you are, you would always have some person. And I have also experienced that myself, that you go into a group and, you know, the facilitator says to you, choose a leader. Watch this carefully. Choose a leader, which means that the members of the group are being given the opportunity based on their observation to choose a leader. And automatically, almost instinctively, a leader is chosen. You know, it happens sometimes so naturally that they say, you know what, choose a leader. Okay, choose this person. Because members of the group, within their own reasoning and within their own level of observation, realize that this particular person is a leader. If they were to say, choose a person who we want someone for the social committee, they will choose that person with that I personality. That person who is the life of the party, that person who is always optimistic, that person who is persuasive. And once again, the group can easily identify. You will find that at least 97% of persons in the group will instinctively and naturally point to one person and say, choose that person. DIS. And we've been told, once again, based on research, that at least 80% of person or personality, 80% of the world's population will be that S type of personality, the stable, steady type of personality. And once again, say that you are within a group and you say, well, you know what, we wanted the leader, we chose the leader, we want someone to lead our social committee. We chose that person to lead our social committee, and now we want someone to keep us balanced and to keep us in a level of harmony. And once again, that person chooses another person, that SS type of personality, that personality which is stable, that personality which is steady. And within this group right here, Your Excellency, Dr. Steele, there's also persons, as I said before, who have that deep personality. They're the drivers. You have persons who are possessing that high personality, that level of persuasion and influence. But most of the persons here, based on research, is a great possibility that most of the persons within your class of Steele, that their dominant personality might be that S personality, although you can have a combination of each personality. And that S personality, that person who is steady, who is cool, calm, and collective. And we always need that cool, calm, and collective person in our sphere of influence. And once again, that also plays an important part in group dynamics. Because some person you're probably in a group and someone will be saying that you're not as engaging as you should be. Everyone, the entire class has a level of engagement, but you're so quiet, you're so cool, you're so calm, and you're so collected. And then once again, they may misjudge you and thinking that you're not. Let me speak about me. Sometimes in my workplace, I've heard that, Ian Lavine, you're not as assertive as you should be. But I'm getting the job done at the same level as the persons who are assertive. I don't have to remind persons of my organizational rank to get stuff done. There are some persons who go around and say, you know what, this is, who I am, but I don't have to do that. I just encourage persons and I motivate persons. I'm cool, calm, and collective. So these are important as we study group dynamics. As you leave class of Steele today, you go back into whatever space you're in tomorrow, whether you're going back into a physical environment or whether you're still operating in a virtual environment, you're going to, what we're speaking about will become a bit clearer to you, and you'll have a better understanding how to understand yourself, but more importantly, how to understand others. Because in understanding others, you can better understand yourself. Sometimes it's just not about us. It's about having a better understanding of the person sitting next to you, or the person sitting in front of you, or even the person sitting behind you. So we dealt with the DIS, and we are now on to the C. And that person is the person who is conscientious or compliant. That is the type of person who has that level of accuracy or that level of perfection. Those persons are the type of person who seem to be a perfectionist. For example, you are in a group and you are doing a project, but there's this person or a couple persons or just one particular person that everything that you do in the project, you have a group, is a group consensus. So you're all on the same page, but there's this one particular person, that if you say, let's paint the wall red, the wall is painted to your mind perfectly red, but this person can say, you know what, I can see a little white spot that you missed out. And the whole group, and literally the whole group is looking at the wall and saying, you know what, this wall is painted red. I can't see any white spot. But that person, because they are a perfectionist, they're saying, you know what, we just don't need to make this white spot red, but we actually need to paint the whole wall red again. So those are critical in the aspect of group dynamics, so that you can better understand that you're going to have within your group, wherever that group is, these varying personalities, and not only having these different levels of personalities, but each person competing for their own level of personality. So the person who has that high D personality, the person who is that driver in the group, that person is always going to be task oriented. I need it, not tomorrow, I need it now. And when you bring no, it's like, I never needed it, no, I needed it 10 minutes ago. So you have to understand that person. There are persons in your group, as we said before, the I personality, that person is going to be the life of the party. And if you don't be careful, that person will never get any productive work done. because he or she comes around your cubicle and they're always forming conversation. He or she would always tell you about what happened at the show last night. They're always so engaged that they can tend to just, the high D personality is going to say, you know what, I can't take this person because I'm trying to focus on the task, and this person is too happy, too chirpy, too cheerful for me. DIS. The S personality, the cool, calm, and collective personality. That person within your group, within group dynamics, that person, because they're so cool, calm, collective, stable, and steady, that person just wants to take their own time. Actually, it's this type of personality that has the greatest level of resistance to stress, because they're so cool, calm, and collective. They create their own natural buffers for stress. So where the high D personality wants it done right now and wants the report on their desk within the next 10 minutes, the person with the S personality is going to say, you know what, I can do that. I can do that next week, because they're walking at their own pace. That is how they were wired. That is how they were programmed. That is how they operate best. And I'm not saying that we are encouraging a level of procrastination or laziness within them, but they're still producing the same level and the same quality of work, but quote unquote at their own pace. And finally, the person with the C personality, as we spoke about, that person who is compliant or that person who is conscientious. That is the type of person who works better with in the area of accounting, those persons who are really analytical. Those persons who they say they cross every T and dot every I. And after they have crossed every T and dotted every I, they go back again to see if they actually crossed the T and dotted the I. And then when you say, you know what, we are good to go, they have to review and review and review over and over again until they are assured within themselves that it is all right. So these are some of the key issues when we are dealing with good dynamics in every sphere of our life. And I just want to reiterate, even within our household of faith, even within our church environment, the same level of group dynamics that we spoke about earlier, also that exact same level also will apply within the church context. The church context not even level of good dynamics. The church context has its same level of vulnerabilities as the corporate arena. Good dynamics. It describes the way in which people in a group interact with each other. Group dynamics is also a system of behaviors and psychological processes occurring within a social group. Group dynamics, the study of forces within a group. Earlier, I never expounded on that, the study of forces within a group. I'm not speaking about the British Armed Forces. I'm not speaking about the Nigerian Armed Forces. I'm just speaking about the level of energy and the level of synergy and the level of personality within a group. And we see that most of all, some of the greatest issues when it comes to good dynamic is, personality. We listed a whole list of things, but personality, this whole, and in my next session, in the next couple of weeks, when we're going to go into the whole aspect of forming a group, we will see that we have these issues. Personalities, I can't get along with Dr. Steele, and Dr. Steele can't get along with Bishop this. I can't get along with my manager. I can't get along with my best friend, who was my best friend yesterday, but not my worst enemy tomorrow. It's just these clashes with personalities. And we've seen today, we discussed that when the dynamics are positive, the group works well together. When the dynamics are positive, and we've also been told from the study of neuroscience that our brain operates best in an atmosphere which is optimistic. Our brain, our whole neurological system and makeup it works best in an atmosphere which is optimistic. Therefore, creating a space and a culture of optimism is good for the brain. So when dynamics are positive, the group works well together. And obviously, we know that when dynamics are poor, the group's effectiveness is reduced. Competing factors that we spoke about again as we bring our session to a conclusion: the alpha male, the type E female, your educational level qualifications, your physical stature, the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you stand, the way you sit, the way you dress, the tone of your voice, your family background, your connections, who you know and who knows you, all that, your rank structure in your organization, your self-taught. Remember, from the moment you were born, everything you were programmed with and all that was wired in your brain will naturally come out within you're operating within a group, unless someone says to you, you know what, brother Ian, your personality, your behavior, something is wrong. Unless someone really draws that to your attention, it becomes so natural that you yourself probably wouldn't even know, there is some changes which need to be made in my life. And finally, we also dealt with the DISC personality profile, which means the person who has that driving personality, the D, the I, the person who has that level of influence, the S, that person who is steady or stable, and the C, that person who is compliant. Group dynamics. My time is up. I know your time isn't up, but my time is up, and I thank you for yours. Your Excellency, Dr. Michael Steele, over to you, sir. Thank you.
Come on, class. Come on, class. Let's celebrate him. Let's celebrate him. Let's celebrate him. Let's celebrate Dr. Lavine. We're celebrating you the virtual way because we have learned the virtual celebration.
Yeah,
Dr. Lavine.
and let me celebrate all of you, Dr. Steele. Let me celebrate you. Let me celebrate all the class of Steele. Let me celebrate you right here from Grand Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. I want to acknowledge the person of your classmate that is in our midst, which is my right hand apostle and my friend for over 20 years in the person of Apostle Neil Holder.
Wow.
Neil, I'm just gonna let the two of y'all have a chance to greet each other because I know the two of you all are tight from school days. So Neil, please greet His Excellency. You're free to unmute.
Good evening, Your Excellency, Dr. Ian S. Lavine. The first time I would have called that name, I made a note here, it was September 8th, 1981.
Neil, how are you, my friend?
Going school together. I had to vocabulate to realize that 39 long years spawns the pond between us. And I am exceptionally overjoyed tonight when I found from Ambassador Steele that His Excellency that you were going to be the guest tonight. I said, come what may, I have to make every effort to be here.
Yes, sir.
And nothing I have heard tonight has fallen short of the expectations that I have in someone of your caliber, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And I am very happy to respect and recognize the levitation you have made and elevation over the years.
Thank you.
And in so doing, it is also for me a very distinct pleasure that it is also in the household of faith and not just in the secular world.
Yes.
To recognize that you have an affiliation with His Excellency Ambassador Dr. Steele, just like myself, was
yes, sir.
one of the things that made me more overjoyed. And I pledge my support and commitment to the class of Steele. I am happy also to have sat tonight and taken copious notes on many of the things you've said. And they wouldn't know what we're saying here, but you empire to empire satir. Wise use of your time. And indeed,
I
indeed, sir,
want you to say, I want you
I'm
to say
very
that
happy.
again. I want you to say that to them again about making wise use of your time.
Make wise use of your time.
and
That
tell them, and tell them where we gained that from.
that was the school motto we gained on entrance to our alma mater in
Yes,
September of 1981.
yes, sir.
Um, and I should say to you that there are not many people who, after many years, can say that someone is still a friend. But the
Mhm.
gentleman who would have brought this discourse tonight to the class has always been someone extremely trustworthy, even from a very young stage. And to be able to evaluate a man from that stage until now and
Yes,
say that there has been no change or deviation from his integrity, it makes me very happy to sit in class and see you here associated with all of these very excellent ambassadors as well.
yes.
Tonight, I have gleaned quite a lot, and I look forward to opportunities where we can sit together and I'll be able to have you invest a bit of that knowledge in me. So thank you very much, uh, Your Excellency, and I do look forward to the next session you will have here, so I can add to the notes that I started to take.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
And as I say, it took me over three consistent years to reconnect with His Excellency Dr. Steele,
Yes.
and then it's 3 full years, and eventually he said, what, what, what do you want, and what do you want me to do for you? And as you said, that shows his level of integrity and his level of focus. He never just responded to me. He said,
Yeah.
I'm going to make you wait for 3 years. And I waited for 3 years, and look where we are. Obviously, I wasn't going to too much relative to our mission or our global mission, but we are also affiliated with international organizations, and this is one of the reasons why we're here to impart just not theological knowledge, but also to impart wisdom that can also make us better people. So as we impart onto you, we are also imparting onto ourselves. And never for one thing that we are only sharing with you, you are also sharing with us, because even though this is my first time interacting with the group on this level, I sense the level of reception. And reception is one of the greatest things you can ever have. The word God said that when you go into a city, and when you go into the city and the man's house and you are not received, you do what? Dust your feet and you move on. But praise God tonight, Dr. Steele, I don't have to dust my feet. Thank you, thank you, Ambassador Neil Holder. Thank you, Dr. Steele, Your Excellency.
I, I want to appreciate you, gentlemen, two fine stalwarts, and this evening's class has been so refreshing for me. My class could tell you that for the past almost 20 weeks, I've been going, and it's been such a pleasure to sit and listen this evening and enjoy your joy, enjoy your teaching. I want to declare that in the next couple coming weeks, um, Apostle Neil, will be speaking with us. Apostle Neil and myself have been connected for a long time, but the financial area is his platform. And Apostle Neil will be coming and giving some discussions on why persons do not engage finances in business. A lot of times persons, and we're talking now holistically, we're looking at business and we're looking at going to banks. We're talking about going to banks and going to investment corporations. And Apostle Neil is at the highest level in his game as a governmental official for nations. And he will be coming and sharing some wisdom with the class of Steele so that you can know why a lot of individuals fail. He will be teaching what we're looking at bringing from Nigeria, a crop of persons that others have told us Nigeria don't have what we're looking for. But we want to declare that Nigeria does have the people who are able to engage the resources of the nations with integrity. Come on, class of Steel. And that's what we are going to show them. We are going to continue to equip ourselves. We are going to continue to become more proficient, more enlightened. And one of the most important thing, we are going to work as a group together, as a team. And you know, Your Excellency, Dr. Lavine, I want to commend you on the message this evening. It was fantastic. You did a wonderful job. I'm not going to say you did me proud because I've had hundreds of conversations with you. So you haven't done me proud, you've done me just because I know that I expected no different of you. And equally, the reason why I refused to speak when you were trying to engage me is because at any given point in time, there's only one alpha male, and I have allowed you to be alpha male for the season. So if you are alpha male and I start to speak in my class, then they will say, look at him, two alpha males locking heads. So I chose to give way to the alpha male in season so that you can take your rightful place. So again, I appreciate you for a wonderful presentation to the class. And I want to confirm that this evening's class has been recorded. It has not been done public, it has been done private. So only those who you share that link with, and I'm going to share that link again because whoever you share that link with, they will be able to view the message. And we are not hiding it because we're also showcasing the skills and the expertise of Dr. Lavine. So you are free to share that link of this evening's class with others so they can get a taste of other things to come. Dr. Lavine, we look forward to your presentation of part two of this message. Again, thank you so very much for what you have done. God bless you. Well done, sir. I
Thank
want
you.
to open the floor for any persons who have any questions for Dr. Lavine. I'm stepping back. So if I see your hand up that you would like to ask Dr. Lavine a question, then you are free to do so. Just put your hand up if you have any question, and we will unmute your microphone, and then you can ask your question. Dr. Lavine, please, you will take this session as well pertaining
Yes,
to the
sir.
questions. I will not interrupt you.
Thank you.
I see. I see Blessing. Uh, Blessing, please unmute yourself.
Okay. Good evening, class of Steele. Good evening, Your Excellency, Dr. Bishop Steele. And good evening, His Excellency also, Dr. Lavine, and the class of Steele. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to see whether it's possible for me. Number one question would be to see if the DISC personality profile can be as the choleric, the influencer as the sanguine, the steady as the
Melancholy.
phlegmatic, or I don't know. Can I compare the two?
Yes.
Yeah, melancholy. Okay, right.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Because
so these two.
You know, as you said, the phlegmatic, the sanguine, the melancholic, those were established by, Hippocrates. Hippocrates, as some person would say, who we were told in 400 BC, who we were told was the founder of modern medicine. So in 400 BC, Hippocrates will have gleaned or title that personality, as you correctly mentioned. You know, we have the phlegmatic, the melancholy, we have the choleric, and we have the other one that you mentioned. There are four. So yes, they're all related to each other, just different, basically a different name.
Yeah.
Well done. I'm very impressed with you. Well done.
Right. Now, oh, thank you, Doctor. Okay, my next question will be, now we have become what we have become by the information we get, maybe from the things we see, we hear, and experience, right? And now we talked about self-talk. You
Yes.
told us about self-talk, how to talk yourself out of the old habit into a new habit, right? And so what's the place of the mindset, the fixed mindset versus the growth mindset? What happens in this? Does the talk alone do it, or there has to be a combination of both the fixed and the growth, between the growth mindset and the fixed mindset?
But yeah. Thank you for that. Well, based on research, obviously in the area of self-talk and in the area of neuroscience pertaining to the brain, we've seen that one of the best ways to reprogram your mind, and also one of the best ways to rewire your brain, is with the process of self-talk. But the process of self-talk here meaning recorded self-talk. So you're actually listening to those recorded messages. And I'll tell you, but I'll refresh your mind how it works. I actually give you a live example. A couple of days ago, my youngest daughter, who is 9, we were driving in the car. My wife was driving. I was in the front seat, and my daughter in the back. My 9-year-old daughter was singing, a song, and she had that song literally word for word, the correct tune, the correct, but everything was perfectly done. And my wife said to her, you know, how do you know that song? You know, I've never, this is my wife saying, I've never heard that song yet. So how do you know that song? And that is exactly how self-talk works. Self-talk works because we're hearing messages at first at a conscious level, through our senses, through our audio system, through our ears. And because we're hearing those messages, then it actually goes into our subconscious. And I don't want to go too deep into this stuff, because, you know, sometimes when we go too deep into the mind and the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, sometimes depending on the audience that we are speaking with and to, especially if we are speaking to primarily a church audience or a group of believers, some person might think that you're going too far into you know what, to New Age and all the stuff that we were told, you know, that we shouldn't do. But this is all scientifically based. So the best way that this self-talk works, whether we're speaking about the fixed mind or the growth mindset, is to actually hear that self-talk in our and as we said, in the foreground or in the background. So for example, you know, you have self-talk, for example, for weight loss. So you have that self-talk for weight loss, the audio recorded self-talk, especially recorded for that purpose, but you're not paying conscious attention to that. You just have it playing. And there's scientific research that said that person who actually heard that self-talk on weight loss or for whatever area they're hoping for, that because of that self-talk, it brought about those changes which that person desired. So as I said, both for the fixed growth, for the fixed mindset and also the growth mindset, the best way is engaging with audio, listening to self-talk on a daily basis. And because, as remember, I said, the more we hear messages, and the stronger those messages become, it actually is wired into the brain. It actually forms new neural pathways. It's like a tree. You speak positive messages to a tree, you speak positive messages, and the neural pathways in your brain are going to grow. It's going to grow. It's going to light up. So the more you release those messages to your mind and brain, you know, you're going to actually become that person who you are expecting to be. And there was also, before I close, there was also a Japanese scientist who did some research actually with some water. And with the water, what he did, he had a glass of water. You probably heard about it, Emoto. And he placed some words on the glass of water. I hate you, you're no good, all negative words. And we've been told, based on the scientific research, that the water actually turned mossy. But another glass of water, which he actually placed positive words. I love you, you're healthy, you're good looking, you're cute. All the positive words on the water, you know, what happened when they did the scientific research, it showed that the molecular structure of the water actually became crystallized. They actually turned like crystals, like, and the negative, the water, as I said, which had all those negative words, they actually turned to moss. And he also did it with rice. The same result. That which he wrote the positive stuff with the rice, the color of the rice got brighter and happier. And when he wrote all the negative things on the rice actually turned like mossy.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for that blessing. The next hand I saw, thank you so very much, blessing. The next hand that I see up is Beatrice. Beatrice, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, hello, good evening, all members of the class of Steele. And our guests for tonight, we are so blessed by this wonderful message that you brought to us.
Thank
and
you.
I'm particularly challenged to see that in group dynamics, you mentioned there are two types of dynamics, the positive and the negative. And I'm personally challenged to want to see how we can help build up a positive group dynamics in wherever we are working, wherever we are interacting with people. And I look at the DITS personality profile structure. I kept wondering, if we get here now, who or how do we help to create these positive group dynamics? Is my question clear?
Yes, I can answer that for you. So as we explained earlier, and it's so amazing that you guys are into the DIS. I love it. I love that you are into the DIS personality profile. I love how Blessing spoke about what Hippocrates spoke about over 400 BC with the phlegmatic and the melancholy and the choleric. So this is how we can engage the DIS personality profile from a positive perspective within our workplace. Now we understand that each of us will have a dominant personality, you know, so we have that down pat. We perfectly understand that. So we can't change per se that person with a dominant D. We can't change that person with a dominant I per se. We can't change that person who has a dominant S personality per se. And we can't necessarily change the person who has that dominant C personality per se. But how do we bring harmony and a level of positive awareness from a group dynamic perspective? And this is I don't want to say it's simple or easy, but it can work. It has a practical level to it. And let me explain it this way. So say that your manager is a type D, you know, that driver, that dominant person who wants their report. They say, I want the report in 10 minutes, and 2 minutes after they say they want the report. How do you bring a level of positive awareness to that? And because this person is so dominant, many persons, especially the S personality, who is that cool, calm, and collective personality, you can become a bit intimidated. I'll give you an example. So say that I am at work and I have that level of with my manager. They say, you know what, I want you to produce this report within, let's say, the next half hour. And you know within yourself that it can't be produced in the next half hour, even if you bring Superman or Superwoman or Hulk, you know it can't be done. So this is what you do. And this is, you remember Dale Carnegie, he said in one of his books, How to Win Friends and Influence People. We need to learn some of these skills and techniques and strategies. So you simply say to your manager, you make yourself comfortable, you say, sir, ma'am, I just want us to have a greater dialogue on this. And you peruse the report and you have a meaningful dialogue and say, you know what, based on these level of achievement that you wish submitted in the next half hour, you know, I can't produce the whole document in half hour because in order to produce the documents in half hour, I have to go from literally from A to Z. But what I can do, I can produce this portion of the document in half hour. You know, by the end of the day, I can produce this other level of document within half hour. And by tomorrow, you'll have the whole package together. But what happens is because we are having these conflicts with the various types of personality, we never take the chance to sit down, digest, and have a conversation. And that is the key issue within the whole realm of group dynamics and personality is our inability to have a meaningful conversation. And you will realize that when we sit and we have meaningful conversation with people, whether it be our manager or senior manager or lieutenant colonel in the army, you'll realize sooner than later that these people are actually people. You'll realize sooner than later that these persons drink the same water that you're drinking. You'll realize sooner than later that these persons are eating the same bread that you're eating. You'll realize sooner than later that these people are using the same level of toothpaste and the same brand of toothpaste that you are using. Because with personalities, we look at personalities and we just brand everyone and you say, well, you know, this person is completely different than me. But when you go into a deep human relational and human behavior aspect of who that person is, you understand that that person is still a person. So how do we maneuver around that? By having a level of communication. I'll give you one more example. A couple of days ago, my manager, who is obviously as a senior right than me, gave me a task, and it did exactly what I said to you to do. You know, I wasn't fully clear on the task. He wanted the task at this particular time, and I said, sir, you gave me this task, can we have a quick debrief, a quick dialogue on the task? You know, we went through the task, and as he was going through the task, I was saying, okay, based on what you are expecting, you know, I can get this to you within half hour. I can get the next bit to you by the end of the day, and I can get to you the full package to you by tomorrow. And guess what? That was perfectly okay. But what we find in workplaces, especially in workplaces, that because we never take the time to dialogue with persons, is why we all often have this level of conflict and this level of being uncomfortable and this level of feeling superior or insuperior. So I would say just have a sincere, open level of communication. And if you yourself, if you are in a physical work environment and you go work tomorrow and you are faced with these good dynamic situations, I assure you, if you sit with someone and say, let us talk, you will be surprised to see that the person who was like this will become a person who is like this, leaning into you and wanting to hear what you have to say. Because when you're creating a human relational perspective, you know, your brain into them, you know what, your responsibility is different than my responsibility, but we are people. Try that, and you'll definitely, I'm putting 100% guarantee on that. You're going to definitely see a change in whatever is happening. Communication is the key. Meaningful communication, not just communication, but meaningful, sincere, honest, open communication. We don't communicate in our workplaces very often. We are not an email-driven organization. You know what? I don't want to say too much, but I think this is going to help someone. My shift was working We were scheduled to come in tomorrow at a particular time. But then because of certain dynamics, we had to bring up the shift up to a earlier time. And you know what I did? Because the guys were off, I called everyone naturally. I explained the situation. But I just never call and got straight into where I call and say, you know what? How are you? I know everyone on my team say, how you doing? How's your wife? How are your children? How's your day off going? And you know, people, and they're not comfortable to listen to me. Why? Because I never call with first a work-related issue. I showed them that I sincerely cared. And then I was able to say, you know what? We have this change tomorrow at work. Let's work this plan together. Do that meaningful, positive communication will solve lots of our problems in the workplace. And even with this personality profile system, the alpha male, you get into them through not trying to be an alpha male, but you get into them through your level of communication. I want, sir, Dr. Steele, I'm coming to you, but I want, sir, about a scenario where you had a guy being bullied. It was just a story, just to bring this into focus. A guy was being bullied for many years, and one day he decided this. One day he was on the playing field and the bully came. So what this guy did, he drew a circle. So I'll say that you have the bully here. He drew a circle around the bully, put a line to separate him and the bully. So the bully here drew a circle around him and the bully, put a line to separate him and the bully, and guess what he did? He did a phenomenal strategic move. He then moved from his level of the circle into the bully's circle. And you know what he said? We are now on the same team. And the bullying automatically stopped from there.
Dr. Lavine, I see one more hand, and that is Emmanuel. Emmanuel, you had your hand up. Is that correct, Emmanuel? Could you kindly unmute yourself, Emmanuel? You have a question for Dr. Lavine?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Emmanuel.
Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir, I
we
can.
can hear you.
Yeah, good evening. Yeah, good evening, doctor. It's been a wonderful class.
Thank you.
It's been a wonderful class. I just want to ask, in the DISC personality profile, where would you fit in the melancholic? You know, the introvert, that is not talking much, and
Yeah,
in
the
the group
melancholy
like that.
Yes, that would be the S, the C, the S personality, the personality which is stable and steady. That person who is cool, calm, and collective.
Okay. Now, my second question is, in the church group, let's bring it down to the church group. Now, you go out for evangelism and you want to reach a particular person who seems unreachable for some reason or the other, you know, always putting up a stone wall. If you try to get across, you have tried to be friendly and he's not giving in. Now, that would be kind of a dominant personality, let me just put it like that, or an influencer himself. How do you get across to him?
You have to be sincere. The reality about people is people know when we aren't sincere. You know, we say we can only fool them for so long, but we can't fool them forever. We have to approach person with a level of sincerity, a level that we show that we care. And I want to just say this again, that no matter if we are that deep personality, that high dominant personality, what we fail to understand that these people are humans, and these people are people experiencing the same human frailties that each and every one of us are experiencing. These persons are mere mortals, like how we are mere mortals. These persons are living in our frail, or in our life of frailty. These persons are also vulnerable to everything that we are vulnerable to. So we have to be sincere. We have to show that we care, because remember now they build up that wall. Apart from having that high deep personality, they build up that wall because they don't trust persons. Because once again, and if you get into that person and you say, you know what, why is this wall there? And they will tell you why they don't trust. They don't trust person because they saw their mom being mistreated. They saw their grandparents being mistreated. They don't trust person because of all the bad experiences they had in their personal relationships. They don't trust people because of all the bad experiences they had at work. And finally, I don't trust you because I've experienced it at home. I've experienced this in the workplace. And guess what? I'm now coming to the church and I'm also experiencing this in the church. This person just needs someone to talk with and talk to. And once we get into their space and allow them to open up, you will start to hear things, my friend, that probably even you weren't prepared to hear. These persons are just in the state that they want someone to sincerely share with, but they don't trust anyone. So you gain their trust, and you have to be sincere. Because if you aren't sincere, you want to gain their trust. And then I just want to go back to something. When you spoke about the melancholy personality, you said the person again who is, earlier when we were speaking about the melancholy personality or the melancholic personality, you were giving me your explanation.
An introvert. An introvert.
Yes. Most likely that would be the steady personality. Although I've read some literature that will label that person as the phlegmatic. The phlegmatic means slow and moving, so they can either fit into the steady person. It can either be the melancholic or even the phlegmatic can be that person who has that S personality, that steady, stable personality, that person who operates basically at their own pace in life.
All right. Okay.
Sir.
Before you go, I'm going to unmute. You have your last question, Dr. Lavine, just for the sake of time.
Yes, sir.
Let's just get his last question. Emmanuel, thank you so very much for your questions. Do we have anybody else with any burning questions they want to ask before we bring this session to a close? Anybody else with any questions or comments? Please raise your hand so that Reverend Bright, I can see you. I see you there, Reverend Bright. You say no, 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 no. Okay, so I'm going to follow the instructions of my superior. You see, I am an alpha male under the instructions of another alpha male. So with that being said, I want to appreciate you, and I'm going to bring this session to a close. For every person who participated and asked their question, well done. I appreciate your contribution. I also appreciate your celebrating our special guest, Dr. Ian Lavine, this evening. I want to acknowledge the person of His Excellency Donald Ewers. Your Excellency, please greet the class this evening. You are very welcome. Greet the class verbally beyond a shake with your Jamaican accent so the class will hear you, Your Excellency. Please unmute yourself, Your Excellency, and just greet us. Click the unmute. You have to unmute yourself. Just click your unmute. Aha, we can hear you now.
Yes, sir. Blessing, 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 blessing. It was a wonderful blessing with the group dynamics and the information. It was very informative, sir. And time is really fast spent. So I've learned a lot and I've improved a lot. So God bless you. Keep up the good work, sir.
God bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you so very much, Your Excellency. I'm going to bring this class to a close this evening. You have been a fantastic class this evening. I am buzzing and looking forward to Friday's class for sure. I want to ask Dr. Dandam, please, to give us her final words. And kindly, Dr. Dandam, you will be the last person speaking and just close up the class. Thank you so very much, Dr. Dandam.
Your Excellencies, and all the members of the class of Steele, our special guests of honor, and all our distinguished guests, Your Excellencies, Donald US, we are glad to recognize you tonight. And also Your Excellency Neil Holder. We saw them on Facebook, but we didn't know who they were. But tonight we are glad to know you. And our special guest of honor, Your Excellency, Dr. Lavine. It's just been amazing and so awesome and wonderful. We are really blessed. Thank you so much. We have learned so much tonight. We had known about the temperament of phlegmatic, sanguine, and choleric, but we didn't even know that it started since 400 BC. And so I think that's an amazing information we're getting tonight, and we are really blessed, and all the things about the group dynamics is so relevant to us because we are a team, and we must learn how to move with one another. And I think this topic is really what we really needed. So I want to thank you very much. Thank you so much for all the contributions from the members of the class of Steele. We welcome Dr. Madumere from the UK, who is with us. He has had a very tight schedule, and he's not always been here, but we are grateful to God that he's able to be here. He has always sent his apologies each time he was not able to make it. And I told him not to worry, that we understand his schedule. We know he's here. He's watching all the clips on YouTube and on Facebook. I want to thank each and every one of us. Please invite others. Don't be selfish. You see, what we are taking in here, what we are enjoying is so rich and it's so fantastic. And we want to spread the word to the whole world. So let's bring in so many others, and together the group dynamics is going to be excellent. We want to assure you, sir, that we're going to put into practice all that we have learned. Thank you very much to everyone. Your Excellency, our mentor, Bishop Dr. Steele, the Director General of the ICC Nigeria Affairs. Thank you so much. God bless you for these seasons and what God is using you to do. You will never lose your reward, neither in this world nor in that which is to come. Thank you very much, sir, and God bless us all. Thank you.
Good night, class of Steele. I love you all very much. Dr. Lavine, well done. Neil, Your Excellency, Donald Ewers, thank you so very much. Barrister, Pastor Victoria, awesome team. Reverend Bright, I love you guys greatly. You guys have a great night and a great day tomorrow, and see you guys on Friday, Lord Spirit Life. Good night and God bless.